Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Bernier, the DRF.com Formulator Race of the Day for Friday, February the 10th. Race number 1 at the Great Race Place, Santa Anita. Weather permitting, we're going down the hill at about 6.5 furlongs on the turf. It's an optional claiming race for fillies and mares. And as we take a look at the field, Matt, we see several horses probably hoping that this race gets taken off.
It's going to be really interesting, and you're going to need to stay tuned and make sure that this race is either run on one surface or the other, because I have a feeling whether it's run going down the hill, you may have a field of 6, and if it's run on the dirt, you may have a field of 6, because there are certain horses in here that are strictly dirt or strictly turf.
Now, we are expecting wet weather out in Southern California on Friday, but head on over to the Race of the Day event page on DRF.com. Download those free Formulator past performances. Handicap along with us. The number 1, Ruse Valentine, handles turf, handles dirt.
I think better on dirt, big speed if they do go on the dirt. The problem is that's going 2 turns. I don't know how it translates. I think this one needs the lead in order to win. I'm not entirely sure that she's going to get it wherever they run it, whether it's the turf or the dirt.
Martin Pedrosa, we know, can be very aggressive coming out of the gate. The 1, Ruse Valentine, as Matt mentioned, does have speed. The last turf start came back in August. She was in against a tough allowance field that day. Nodiak came back to run 3rd in the Unzip Me Stakes with an 84 Beyer speed figure. A couple of the horses came back to Beyer in the 80s. The 2 is 9.9, who finished 3rd on dirt most recently, but the time before that on turf, a solid 2nd place finish going a mile. This horse seems to fit at 6.5.
Another one, I believe, though, that is best outright on the lead. If the 2 of them hook up, if the 1 and 2 both run in this spot, you could be assured, I should say, of a pretty legitimate pace. I don't know. Vladimir Serin passed 5 years, 3rd off the bench, sprint 3 for 39. Not a great number with a $0.50 ROI. Just not for me.
Number 3, Nickname. We know she wouldn't mind a wet main track. She took the Grade 1 Frisette back in 2015 over a sloppy track at Belmont Park. She has yet to win since that race. She's taken on some really strong competition. On dirt, she's the horse to beat, and she's got a little bit of turf pedigree.
Yeah, you look at the pedigree, you almost wonder if turf ultimately is where she's going to want to go. You remember Decked Out, where she ultimately, when she made the change over to the turf, she really kind of flourished. She's been gone for a long time. This will be her first start in plus 180 days anyway, and Richard Mandela past 5 years, first after the trainer switch, 180 plus 3 for 29 with a 68-cent ROI. I won't be surprised if she runs well.
If it stays on the turf, her dam with stakes placed on synthetic and on the weeds, and the Scat Daddies we know do very, very well on the turf. 14% with first turf runners. Latico was a winner 2 starts back at Del Mar, going 5 furlongs. She pressed the pace that day. She beat 3 next out winners. Now, she was in the Las Ciénegas on January the 7th, which was washed off of the turf, and she didn't seem to like dirt as much.
If they run it on the turf, she has a big chance. If they run it on the dirt, I don't like her.
Agree 1,000%. The 5 is Riri, and I kind of like the cutback for Riri if this race does stay on the turf. She won her career debut going down the hill, and then she's tried 3 route races, 1 good one, and now winners of 1 other than. The Jimmy Durante was a little bit tough, and then off a layoff last time out, they had a very ambitious spot running her 9 furlongs off the bench. The problem is keeping this horse sound. We haven't seen her since July, but again, she runs well fresh. If this race goes down the hill, you throw her out at your own peril.
What she's done in her short career thus far, I think makes her the horse to beat if they do keep it on the turf. If they go to the dirt, I'd be stunned if she ran. I have no idea what you'd get out of her, but the fact she's won down the hill, she's way the horse to beat if they run it down the hill.
The 6 Del Mar Ann is another one that seems best suited for turf. This will be her first start of the Richard Baltas claim. She finished 4th most recently. The 3rd place horse came back to win a 1X with an 86 Beyer speed figure. I kind of liked her race a little bit 2 starts back. She was steadied a bit entering the turn. She came widest. There wasn't a lot of pace, and she rallied okay. I'm not sure I love her. She doesn't seem very brilliant and have a strong turn of foot.
No, and it'll be interesting to see. I thought the most recent start was just fine. She was wide throughout. She ran okay that day. I don't know if going down the hill is going to work. I think she's probably just going to be completely outrun. And on the dirt, if they choose to go there, I have no idea what you're going to get.
Surfside Tiara, like Nickname, is trying turf for the first time, and like Nickname is by Scat Daddy. She is a stakes winner on the main track. This will be her 2nd start off of a long layoff, and you got to figure from a fitness perspective, she's going to be much tighter this time around.
She's one that I wonder if they do run it down the hill, if it stays on, if she comes out of this. Look at it. She hasn't ever run on turf before. That was her first start off of a long layoff. You wonder if they move forward here, 2nd off the bench, if it's on the dirt, I think she's interesting. If they go down the hill, I have a feeling she won't run.
Andrea has shown big speed in her last 2 races, going 5 furlongs on the turf at Del Mar. It takes her a long time to change leads in the stretch, but she was in against the boys 2 back and against a very promising mare in Paquita Coqueta most recently. Dirt, who knows? Turf, she's got a shot.
I think she's a little bit of an awkward mover. I don't know about 6.5. I think she's best going shorter. If they go on the dirt, Who knows? If they go down the hill, you have a reasonable idea what you're going to get.
If this race stays on, you can make the argument that the 9, Sky Diamonds, along with Nickname, well, they're the horses to beat because Sky Diamonds has won 3 out of her last 4 races on the main track. She handled 6.5, no sweat last time out, and that race came back pretty fast over a wet track.
I don't love the field she beat that day, and she had a ridiculous trip considering she was down on the rail. Plain lucky, just completely blew the turn, opened it up wide. She shot through and went on with it gamely. Bill Spar has been red hot at this meeting. I think that if they keep this thing, I should say if they keep it, if they run it on the dirt, I think she's way the horse to beat. If they run it on the turf, I have a feeling they won't run this filly going down the hill.
I think rain or shine, the 10 Thermodynamics might be using this race as a stepping stone to longer distance races down the road. We have not seen her since October, and from what we saw back in 2015, 2016, it seems like 2 turns is her best friend.
Yeah, you look at Dan Hendricks' past 4 years, 61 to 180 days, sprint 1 for 19 with a 41-cent ROI. The body of her career has been going 2 turns. I think this is just getting one under her belt.
Let's take a look at our top selections for race number 1 at Santa Anita on Thursday. I'm hoping the race stays on. I like the 4 Latico if it does. If it does not, I'll leave it up to you because I think Sky Diamonds is the one to beat.
And I just, I know this is a difficult thing to do, to just try to project whether it's going to stay on or it's going to come off. There's a graded stakes race on the turf on Saturday.
They're going to save.
I think they're probably going to save it. If it comes off and goes on the dirt, Sky Diamonds is the one with the proven form recently. I do think whether it's run on the turf or the dirt, I think Nickname's going to give a good account of herself.
I wouldn't be surprised if Nickname runs very, very well, but if the race does run and stay on the turf, I'll go Latico, and I think Riri has to be respected. Cutting back, I would go 4-5 if it stays on turf. Matt's going to go with the 9, Sky Diamonds. Rain or shine if you're playing the Santa Anita card from home on Friday. $300 sign-up bonus. DRF.com/trifecta is where you need to go to get all of the details for new DRF Bet subscribers and a rather hefty bonus. Approximate post time for the opener at Santa Anita on Friday is 1 o'clock Pacific. Best of luck.